Hello and welcome to my podcast, Loving What's Next. This is Michelle Barr. I was getting ready to make the next episode of my podcast, and I was very inspired to share this story with you. And so I'm jumping on here. I'm going to make this its own story, just standing on its own, and then I will go and make my next podcast episode. I've been doing a whole series on my Loving What's Next podcast, which you can find at lovingwhatsnextpodcast.com. And you can find my website at michellebarr.com. And I've been doing this series on the hero's journey, and this story is one great example of the magic and the synchronicity and the weaving of the tapestry that spirit does when you start walking with spirit and working with spirit and learning how to live within the laws of the universe and learning how to really tap into your own energy. And the questions you ask, show me the way, help me to live the highest version, the best version of me. What else is possible? How much good am I willing to allow into my life? These are all very powerful moments and very powerful questions that I have asked along the way. And Spirit places people in my path. And this is a dramatic example that I want to show you of how even before you're certain, even before you know really what this is that's calling to you and what in the world do I do with it, Spirit is putting everything you need in front of you. And in this moment, whatever you are being called to do, you have everything inside of you that you need in this moment. You're looking for the opportunities that are showing up. You're asking and it is given. And sometimes we just can't see it. We don't have the eyes to see. We don't have the ears to hear. And sometimes we're blocking it because we're scared, we're doubting, we're triggered by old data and old memories that need to be cleared, healed, and resolved. And people and things are showing up in our life that appear to be not at all what we've been asking for, but they're all part of it. So let me share with you now this story. I've talked about it before. I've written about it before in blogs and in my book and on my podcast and in live stage talks. It's been with me a really long time. I'm going to take you back 25 plus years when I was just 25 years old. So that's more than 25 years now. When I was 25 is when I had my first spiritual awakening, and all of this started opening up to me, everything that I share with you now. And it has all brought me to this moment where I am now with everything I have and everything I am now. I call this story my first and last visit to a psychic. I was just 25 years old the first time I went to see a psychic. A friend of mine told me about her, a woman in Dallas that she had recently heard about and she had gone to see. And I want you to realize back then, these things were still very hush hush. You didn't talk about it. You had to know somebody who knew somebody unless you wanted to take your chances on the side of the road and see the psychic with the flashing neon sign. But it wasn't as prevalent and available to us as it is now. And so my friend kind of said, somebody told me about a psychic. I know about a psychic. And so I went. I hadn't been thinking about seeing a psychic. I wasn't wondering about being able to see a psychic or where would I find a psychic or could a psychic help me? But you see, I was asking questions. I was in a really precarious place in my life and poised on the verge of this quantum leap that was going to come to me in the way of a spiritual awakening. But what I want you to understand is we all have free will. Spirit cannot impede on our free will. But the questions I was asking opened the door. I had so much emotion going out there to God, to Spirit, my creator, source, the universe, and everything that was torn up inside of me. And Spirit placed this through a friend of mine that I trusted enough. And something inside me said, do it, say yes. And so I went. My life was a mess. I was a mess, and I wanted to know what she had to tell me. After making the appointment, I ended up surprisingly in a townhouse in a lovely suburban neighborhood, meeting with a woman named Fan. She showed me into her office and asked me to take a seat on the couch. She brought me some water. Then she sat down beside me, reached out and touched my hand and began to talk. She saw immediately what I was going through with my toxic marriage. And she told me I had been feeling like I should make a move and that I thought it was an unrealistic idea. I mean, how could I possibly do that? Here I was, everything in my life, my family, my husband, I had a 2-year-old child. They were all in Dallas. I had a job. Now it was a job I did not love at all, and I was miserable, but I had this life. This was unrealistic, yet something had been telling me to make a move, a big move. How could I possibly do that? And she said, that is exactly what you should do. She saw my best friend who was dying and spoke to me about that. This was all, see, as I tell this story, part of this tapestry Spirit was weaving, my spiritual awakening, me leaving Dallas and going to where I ended up in San Antonio. And my best friend dying played into it. My friend telling me about Fan played into it. My husband, who's now my ex-husband, played into it. My child, my family, everything counts. Everything matters. It's all part of it, and it's all showing up in answer to what you've been asking for. But it shows up, and we have to say yes and step in or no, because Spirit cannot impede on our free will. I could have not gone when my friend told me about the psychic, and that would have been an opportunity that I said no to, and then I don't know what would have progressed from there. There are opportunities that are showing up right now in messages through other people and through things all around you in answer to what you are asking for. And you may not be hearing them or seeing them, or when you do, they are unrealistic, they are illogical, they're uncomfortable, they're inconvenient. And you say no out of fear, doubt, worry, old data, old programming, old conditioning. She saw the job I had just come out of and told me there was a reason for that. And she told me that the other jobs I was trying to get were not going to work out for me right now, because making this move was that answer to what I was asking for, even though I didn't know it. Again, when I can look back 1 year later, 5, 10, 20, 30, it's astounding. Making this move was such a big part of my story that everything was leading me to this. The jobs didn't work out. I did make the move, and it changed my entire life. I continued to see Fan at least once or twice a year over the next 22 years. When I was close, I saw her in person. When I lived further away, I talked to her by phone. Fan's guidance was invaluable to me. She saw things I couldn't see, even though they were going on in my world. She validated for me feelings I was having, things I was feeling called to do, and she helped me see not only how to do them, but why they were so important. She saved me many a misstep over the years, and she provided me with so much peace of mind. She was a true teacher who showed up in my life and my world and had a huge impact on me. The last time I saw Fan was over a decade ago now. She was 94 years old. She brought me a glass of water and we sat down on the couch in her office. I was so excited to tell her how so many things we had talked about had come true. She had seen me building my own private practice after moving back to Texas. I remember telling her when she first said this, that is what I feel I am to do, but I don't see how. Because again, my mind was jumping in. When she saw it and she started telling me, I said, I don't have my therapist license in Texas. It's going to require a bunch of additional steps to get it. Spirit is showing me I feel called and led to do this, but I don't see how I can have a private practice. I don't understand how this could work. How could this work? Yet she assured me she saw this happening for me. And it did very much as she described, and big things that I didn't understand till later, but I held on to them in those moments because I had come to trust her. She had seen me speaking on a stage, and I have many times now. As I described to her the business I was now doing that I loved so much, she asked me a question. I know you're a counselor, but that's not all you are doing for your clients now, right? What are you really doing? She was digging for something that she already knew and that she could see, and yet I was holding back on it, not fully owning it, not understanding how to share it with her. And when she asked those questions, something opened inside of me. I was bursting at the seams with it. I told her, no, I am doing more than that now. Then she said, you are like me. You can do what I do. You see that now? You do this for your clients now. And because of that, our time together today is no charge, and you will not pay me again. And she clapped her hands, her face lighting up with delight. And I was so moved and so surprised. That day, I received her blessing and such a gift that all these years I had been going to see her from the time I was 25 until the time I was 47 years old. I was growing into who I really am and discovering how to do what I am here to do and literally made to do. With every guided step, with every decision, with every bit of information and insight she offered me, I found my way. Now I coach others using my gifts, my skills, my abilities, my talents, people who are intuitive, people who heal, people who are teachers and leaders, coaches, authors, and speakers, all those who have gifts to bring to the world and share with others. I coach them intuitively, energetically, and strategically. Just a second here. I had a big cough right there, right in the middle. I was getting so passionate about what I was saying. So I muted and coughed, and here I am back. I coach people like this, like myself, like you, intuitively, energetically, and strategically to discover how to do what they are here to do, what you are here to do, what you are made to do, and support and guide you in growing into who you really are. This is the hero's journey, discovering that, finding that, and then stepping into it. Who are you? What are you here to do? What are you being called to do? What are you made to do? And how do you grow to become the person who gets those results? So now I ask you, who are you? What are you here to do? What have you been made to do? As you move through this year, what do you really want to be doing? I urge and encourage you not to waste another moment living anything less than a purposeful life. Extreme abundance comes from living your soul purposeful out. My life, the day I first showed up at Fan's townhouse, is unrecognizable from the life I now live. I'm creating every day a life of extreme joy, of extreme abundance, living my soul purpose and this soul satisfying and soul fulfilled life, full out and not willing to settle for anything less. What opportunities are showing up in response to what you are asking for? And what are you asking for? Are you asking? Are you desiring? Are you not seeing them, or are you seeing them and not wanting to see and hear them because they seem uncomfortable, unreasonable, illogical, inconvenient, expensive? This is the message I want to share with you today. It's never too late to pick up that breadcrumb, step into that opportunity, even if there have been missed opportunities along the way. You are right where you are meant to be, right in this moment, and the power is in the now. The power is in the present moment. No more future tripping using worry, self-doubt, second guessing, fear, excuses, and no more going into the past and ruminating over old data, programming, and conditioning. If you are ready to commit to your hero's journey, connect with me. I have much more for you, many more resources on this podcast, lovingwhat'snextpodcast.com, on my website, michellebarr.com. I hope this wakes something inside of you, speaks to something in you today that you have shown up here to hear. I may be providing something for you right now in answer to what you have been asking for. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Next, I will be up with the next episode of my podcast and the Hero's Journey series. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.